Okay, so we learned in the first two videos this week how to do shifts with short-run aggregate supply and aggregate demand and find the equilibrium points. And then we also learned about how to show the business cycle by placing long-run aggregate supply. So now we're going to do both of those things together. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and write all of this in your notebook. Okay, so you're going to write the setup of the graph, right? So just like we can always do at the beginning. And then you're going to write the two steps here that we're going to do: draw an economy in a recession and draw the shift interest rates fall. Okay, so pause the video, write those things. Okay, now try them yourself. Okay, how would you draw an economy in a recession? So try to do it from memory. Think about how YF, the potential output, the full employment output of the economy, compares to Y actual, right? The actual output of this economy. Okay, so if it's in a recession, how does the full employment output compare to this actual output? Okay, so in a recession, the economy is producing less than full employment output, right? So your full employment output is at a higher quantity than it was during the recession, okay? And long-run aggregate supply always lines up with YF. Okay. And that's your recessionary gap. Okay, cool. So now we're going to draw the shift. Interest rates fall. So go ahead and give me a shifter and a shift. Okay, so interest rates fall means that now people who are borrowing money don't have to pay back as much extra money. So that's going to make borrowing seem more appealing. Okay, so that means that your firms and consumers who are sensitive to the change in interest rate excuse me. Okay, so these consumers and firms who are sensitive to the interest rate are going to borrow more or less. Yeah, they're going to borrow more because it's cheaper to borrow. Okay, so aggregate demand is going to increase. Okay, oh, I'm not going to do that. Okay. Okay, so aggregate demand increases, but the chances of it increasing exactly the amount that would close this recessionary gap is basically zero, okay? Because when the economy was healing with the mechanism of price adjustment in the long run, like we did in the short run aggregate supply video, right, where there was inflation, and then in the long run the firms ask for a raise to adjust for the inflation so production gets back to normal. That's a reason why production would go right back to YF. Okay, but in this case, the interest rate going down, it could be part of a government policy. So we'll talk about what's called monetary policy, but it's where the part of the government that influences the money supply puts a lot of money into circulation during a recession to try to get the interest rate to go down so that people will want to borrow more and do more consumption and investment to get aggregate demand up to close this recessionary gap. But they have no idea how much effect changing the money supply will have, right? So they're just guessing, right? And so your shift should be in the direction of this, right? It should be that aggregate demand will increase because of this, but you could draw it being a small increase. You could draw it being like a perfectly sized increase. You could draw it being too big and causing some inflation, right? So it doesn't matter how big the shift is, it just matters that you're shifting it in the right direction. Okay, and PL2, Y2. All right, so that's all. Good job.